10864. Stations your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Busy show coming your way. Quarterback Bo Nix meeting with the media in just a little while. He actually talked to the media yesterday. We have it for you on the show today. Also coming up next segment, the voice of the Colorado Buffaloes, Mark Johnson. He has the best voice in the conference. Every other broadcaster, like me, like Jerry, would agree with that. He just does. You'll hear it coming up in just a little while. Steve Stevens, we're going to talk with him. Great job by the Oregon secondary, I think, for the majority of the season, but they want to finish games a little bit better. Steve Stevens talking about that in just a little while. Also, Jackson Powers Johnson, Noah Whittington, and Triquest Bridges. And speaking of Triquest Bridges, he was outstanding on the coach's show last night. We actually flipped the script because Quez said, I think I kind of want to be a media personality someday. So he said, all right, do it. And he did it, and it was awesome. Also, Marshall Malco filled in, the chief of staff for Oregon football, for Dan Lanning on the coach's show last night. You can find it on the GoDucks YouTube, the Oregon Sports Network podcast, Oregon football social media channels, wherever you want to tune in. It was a fun conversation that Jerry and Jorgie had with Marshall, and also my conversation with Quez was great. Kelly Graves also met with the media recently, as did Matt Ulmer. If we don't get to those today, we'll have them for you on the show tomorrow as women's basketball season begins on Monday, officially after their exhibition last Friday. And then Oregon volleyball, a big matchup with the Huskies. That's going to be a really fun environment for a number of different reasons. There's also a special giveaway. Just be ready for that. We're very excited about it. Those of you who are in attendance, I'm just going to tell you, I personally am so sad that I won't be there. We'll be in Boulder with the Oregon football team. It is an awesome, awesome giveaway that you're going to hear about. Let's hear from Bo Nix now, the Oregon quarterback meeting with the media, talking about what's been successful, where the Ducks can get better, particularly maybe starting a little bit faster. Bo Nix with the media here.
You talked about on Fox the supposed to throws that you try to make. What goes into like this, like in your mind, like when you're deciding to take a deep shot downfield or want to check it down to Noah about you?
Well, the deep shots are all about are they open or are they covered, and we do a good job of scheming up the open ones, and so usually we got some good leverages and good throws out there, and if they cover them, if the defense drops back, we just usually have a lot of check down opportunities, and those check downs have been a lot of our explosives this year.
Is it like precautionary to do it like maybe later in the game, or is it you want to do it?
Just take whatever they give you. So if they want to give the check downs a little bit at the beginning, just go ahead and take them. But usually it happens opposite. Usually they'll give you a few deep and then they'll start backing up, and then you'll have the check downs later.
How much more, in the course of your career, just where running backs get more and more involved in the passing game, not just as check downs, but that they're live options all the time. And that's maybe not something that existed 5, 6.
Coach Dillingham loves using the backside of the backfield. And we have some guys that can, they can run the ball and get out of the backfield. So we'll go with some 2 running back sets, have a lot more running backs on the field. And when that kind of stuff happens, usually you get in some run sets and they come down and defend the run, and then you got some explosive shots behind them. And then with that leads to check downs and some of those shorter passes to running backs.
Pete said after the Cal game about harping on some of those miscues, particularly in the red zone. So let's harp on them.
Yeah.
And reevaluating and looking over on film. All right, the incompletion. All right, there's an interception and a stop on a running back. Like, your assessment of those three and what you could have done differently, better?
Yeah, just all three are unique plays. I mean, next time we'll just go out there and execute them. We've been doing well on 4th downs and in the red zone. And so we don't think there's really it's not necessarily to just go crazy about the red zone, but it's more along the focus and the details once you get there.
What do you make of this team's ability to not get complacent during a 7-game win streak and not overlook an opponent?
Well, I think it just goes into how we practice, and Coach Lanning does a really good job of, I mean, he gets us out there, we practice hard, and we practice against each other, and we understand the importance of just continuing to put in the work during the week so we can perform on Saturdays, and that's what we've done. That's what's got us to this point. So we're just, as a team, we're just going to continue to do that.
How much did the disappointment of not scoring as often or the yards that you could have had against Cal carry over to this week and the focus of preparation for this week?
Yeah, I think it's funny. 42 points and 580 yards is considered disappointing, but I mean, we don't want to take that for granted. We know there's still a lot to improve on, but we were still really excited on the things we did well and those things. But just at the end of the day, if we want to just continue to play complete football, we got to execute those few mistakes that we made, and then get those corrected, and then you never know what will happen after that.
With Chase out and Stephen no longer around, who are the receivers who are maybe stepping up this week in practice?
Well, the same ones. I think we've done a good job of rotating guys this year. Coach Adams, I mean, he does a really good job of getting those guys ready to roll. We'll have guys out there, same guys like Troy and Chris, who are going to continue to play well, tight ends, running backs. We use a lot by committee, so those guys, I mean, we throw the kitchen table at defenses, so there's a lot they got to prepare for, a lot of different sets. A lot of individual keys that they can look for, but at the same time they're always changing, so it's hard for defense to match up. But we'll have similar receivers out there that have been kind of playing well for us.
You feel like after a drive or two you get more comfortable with the defense after you get to see a little bit more of their minor discrepancies?
Yeah, Cal came out in really a completely different defense that they showed. It was in their scheme, but they hadn't been running a lot of it. And we feel like here on out we're going to get some of that, some teams that are doing different things on us, because it's hard for a defense just to kind of line up and do base stuff against us because we're so multiple. So we know we're going to have to prepare for those different things and get in the game and then have to adjust. But yeah, after 2 drives, usually it is easy to settle in and know what they're doing.
What have you seen so far from this Colorado defense on film?
Well, they're just they're everywhere. They run a lot of different things. They'll bring blitzes, they'll play coverage, they'll play man, so a lot of different things, and I think that's what's unique about them.
What's the key to avoiding sort of a sluggish start like you guys had against Cal?
I think it is important to just score when we get in the red zone.
You began to build your relationship with Kenny going back to your time at Auburn, and even now. How have you gone about, like, what was like hearing about like his story and in terms of like how he got into coaching and his senior year of high school and the injury and all that?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, his experience has been really unique. He literally started from the bottom and got all the way up to where he's at now, and it's all just literal, just kind of want to and hard work. I think he's the epitome of a guy that's got in there and just worked his way up to the top, and that's why I think he's so much fun to just be around, because he understands what it's like. He understands the joy in football, and it's not just kind of monotonous out there with him. He's always brings energy. He always has a very lively spirit, and so I think that that carries over into his coaching. He's just a very passionate guy, and it's just been fun to really be around him for the second year.
Did you talk to any of his former quarterbacks, either then or now or any time between?
No, I haven't really talked to any of his former guys, even though he's been around some good ones. He's had a lot of success with the quarterbacks he's been around, but I have not been in touch with those guys.
Going back to the Hudson drop on 3rd down against Cal, there wasn't a lot of motion showed from you. It was on 3rd down, next play mentality. Can you talk about like maybe maturation you may have had, like early in your year you may have been more emotional after a drop like that?
Well, I've seen Chris run that play and catch that ball so many times to where I know that is like very rare, and it just happens. Sometimes you get bad step, you get your hand placement wrong, and so as a receiver, I completely understand, and it's hard to really get mad at a guy like that when he's always at practice, always doing the right things, always trying to get better and working hard and competing and, running around everywhere. So I don't even think really in the first part of my career you could get mad at a drop pass. I don't believe I've ever really done that. But it's just like they aren't going to get mad at me when I miss them when they're wide open. So it's just kind of understanding each other. And I see the work that he puts in every week. People from outside may see, oh, he drops, that's a terrible play, all this kind of stuff. But I've seen Chris make that over and over, and I throw it to him 10 out of 10 times.
Have you seen Patrick kind of embrace the hybrid role that he plays of tight end, fullback, and just what makes him so good at that?
Well, that whole room, they do a good job of, they find their role and they do their role at a high efficiency rate. And I know those guys, they care about one another, they love each other. One of the tightest rooms in our complex. And so when you look at what Pat's done just in the fullback, when you bring the power I back, tight end, when he's got out and caught a touchdown last week, those guys are so multiple. They can do so many different things. So it kind of just spreads out their plates and doesn't allow them to have to think too much about different things, because that tight end probably is one of the harder positions in our offense because they're using the pass game, in the run game. They're everywhere. They've got so many different sets. So those guys do a really good job of being multiple.
How uncommon is it for 4 tight ends to play the amount of snaps that they're all playing?
Boy, it's uncommon, I think, because you never really have teams that have 4 tight ends like we do. You may have 1 or 2, but we have 4 tight ends that can play, really honestly, probably anywhere in the country, and so it just speaks to their talent. And so because of that, we just want to get them on the field, and the more tight ends you can put out there, it puts just the defense in a hard situation, because do you get big and stop the run, or we can also spread it out and throw it, so then you're stuck. So it's hard for a defense when you use tight ends like that.
You told CBS last week that you'd gotten to be miserable at times last season. And I know obviously Auburn still matters a lot to you and your family. They made their change this week. What's your reaction to them making a change?
Yeah, well, I was miserable in high school when I lost games. I was speaking to losing being the miserable part. I don't like to lose, and there's a lot of teams out there right now that don't enjoy losing. And so winning is just, it kind of gets you out of that mindset. And here it's just we've had a really good season. We've put together some solid weeks back to back, and I'm just happy to be here. I think that this is where I'm supposed to be, and the past is the past, and there's nothing that I can do, nor nothing I can say that's really going to change anything. But I'm not worried about really any other team right now than Oregon.
That's Bo Nix, Oregon football quarterback, talking with the media. A lot of good information from Bo, as always. Getting ready for the 12:30 kickoff on ESPN. Ducks heading to Colorado. We're going to head to Colorado next. Live from Boulder, Mark Johnson, the voice of the Buffs, going to join us when we come back in the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack. Joining us is who I call the movie trailer broadcaster of the Pac-12. Mark Johnson is with us. Mark, how are things in Boulder?
Well, not too bad. In fact, I just got here and another nice day. And, you know, I'm wondering if we're going to have some maybe snow this weekend for this football game. I don't think it's going to last that long, but you never know. It might be kind of a unique atmosphere we have at Folsom Field.
I like that. I looking at the forecast, I was actually packing this morning, Mark, a big planner in me, and I was looking, and it's actually supposed to be warmer at kickoff in Boulder than it is in Eugene, Oregon at the same time. So, you tell me, sir, what should I pack? Do I bring the parka or not?
Well, that's a good question because, we like to say here in Colorado, just wait 15 minutes, it'll change.
Yeah.
Because throughout the end of the week, there's supposed to be snow like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In fact, when I left my house, it was snowing at my place. So why don't you pack flip-flops and shorts and then a parka as well? I think you'll be covered.
Yeah, I always say in Oregon, Mark, that if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. So sounds like it's similar. Okay, I have to tell you, you are a legend among the Duck Insider faithful because last time we had you on, it was a very similar situation. You were en route, took the time to pull over in your truck, and we got a view of the Rockies. Are we about to get the sequel here, Mark?
I feel kind of bad, no, because we connected while I'm inside the Boulder city limits. So I've got a Subway to my right and a Taco Bell and a Wendy's to my left. Sorry, I can't give you the beautiful vistas of the Rocky Mountains today. You're going to have to just have corporate fast food is all you're going to see. Sorry.
Mark Johnson joining us. All right. Look, tell us about the season, Mark. I always like to ask an open-ended general question first. Catch Duck fans up on what's happened with the Buffs so far this year. I know that it's been an up-and-down roller coaster at times.
Yeah, and it's been highly disappointing in many respects. When you're a one-win team this deep into the season, that's not a good thing. When you're one of, 5 or 6 schools, I guess, have got a coaching opening, that's not a good thing. And so year number 3 for Carl Durrell did not go as planned. This team has not played well. Joey, I went into the year with and doing all the preseason, interviews like we do. And people say, what do you expect? And my mantra going in was, well, the Buffs defense was pretty solid last year. The offense was one of the worst in the country. And so this is going to be a better year because I think the defense is going to grow. And I can't possibly have a team where their offense is worse in America. Well, guess what? Their offense has been the worst in America, and the defense has been the worst in America. That's a hard double to do, but the Buffaloes have done it. Now, they have gotten a little bit better here in recent weeks. When Mike Sanford took over as the interim coach, he'd been the offensive coordinator. We've seen some improvements. Now, when you're 132nd in the country and you proved 129th, I'm not sure how much of an improvement that is, but at least there's been some positives there. We did get the one victory, of course. That was a Cal game victory, 20-13 in overtime. That was the first game that Mike Sanford coached. So there's been some positive movement, incremental, and we're all clinging to that. I think for Buff Nation right now, they're also looking at the fact that a new coach is on the way, whoever that turns out to be. And so they're coming out. They're supporting the student athletes. We've had some pretty good crowds. There's been good atmosphere. And everyone's kind of looking towards the future at this point.
It's really interesting you bring up the crowd because we were talking about that on the show yesterday, actually. Like, you look at the attendance numbers, Mark, and it's like, oh, it's actually still pretty good. Why is that? Is that Coach Sanford? Is it just the community? What is it?
Well, I think there's a lot of things you just mentioned there. Buff fans have always been pretty good. And I do think anytime there's a coaching situation like we had where you kind of felt – listen, you've been around this game a long time. I've been around. You can kind of feel it when it's coming.
Yeah.
And the pressure begins to build. And when the balloon is popped, there's almost a sense of relief. And, okay, now we can start looking towards the future. And one thing that I talked about on all of our various shows and television and radio stuff that we do is, okay, fans, now the change you've been asking for is coming. Now it's your job to come out and support the student athletes on the field right now and show them that you appreciate what they're doing and you're with them, whatever this transition is going to be like. And so I think Buff Nation really has responded in that regard. So there have been great crowds, great atmosphere. It's been a lot of fun. And, I'm very proud of what the fans have done. I'm hoping this football program can get turned around.
That's really cool to hear, because I think that there's so much money and there's so much conversation and pressure in college football today, and especially with the way the sport has grown over the last, a couple decades, but particularly it seems like in the college football playoff era. I think that's so cool that you can get back to a little bit of the community feeling of college football. That's awesome, Mark. I love to hear that. Mark Johnson joining us, voice of the Buffs. Okay, the coaching change. It seems like when a change gets made, sometimes it's either a nosedive, sometimes maybe there's a little bit of a shift. Feels like the incremental improvement you mentioned, there has been a little bit of a shift toward positivity under Coach Sanford.
Yeah, I think there is, and he's a good energy guy. And one thing we do in our positions is we kind of learn these new staffs when they come in. Mike Sanford came in this past year, and so I was kind of watching him. How did he conduct himself? He had been a head coach before at Western Kentucky a number of years ago, and so I thought, well, there's a guy that looks like a head coach. He's got that kind of feel. He's a high energy guy. Well, that demeanor hasn't changed since he's become the interim guy, and so he's really energized this team, really taken a different approach with the team. Carl was a very stoic sort of guy. And what Mike has done has been almost 180 degrees from that and really injected energy into it. I think the team's playing hard. They've done a few different things on offense and defense. They've tried to throw some new wrinkles in and put guys in different positions. And so there has been some positive. Now, Mike's making an argument, could he be the guy? I think there's, it's possible, but you'd like to see him win a couple more ball games, obviously, under those circumstances. But, I think what Mike has done has been a very positive thing. And fans have responded to it. Players have responded to it. Donors have responded to it. So it's been a good thing so far.
On that note, felt like the Arizona State game just last week was a winnable one, Mark. I got to tell you, we were listening to you coming back from the Eugene airport, and we actually listened to the end of the ball game, and it felt like the Buffs were right there. Almost got that win last week.
Yeah, they had a chance. I mean, they got a huge game out of Jordan Tyson, who's an exciting young talent. Got a 50-yard touchdown reception from him. Got an 88-yard punt return for a touchdown from him. The offense played relatively well, probably as well as they have all year long. Now, the defense had its issues. I mean, Boguet came in here and threw for 458 yards, whatever it was, and so looked like a Heisman Trophy candidate, for goodness sake. So the defense really didn't do its job, but it was a winnable ball game. I thought going in, there was a real opportunity there. Kind of disappointed they didn't take advantage of that. And now, Joey, let's be honest about it. We look at this last 4 games of the schedule, and we knew going in it was going to be daunting. You've got 3 teams out of the 4 that either are or have been in the top 10. Oregon, you got USC next Friday night, then you got Washington, you got Utah. This is a daunting stretch for Colorado, and very talented, teams that are making an argument on their behalf to be in the college football playoffs. So very, very tough stretch coming up.
You touched on the offense. Certainly the quarterback is going to get the microscopic focus from particularly an opposing fan base. What are Duck fans going to see at quarterback in the play that has been a little inconsistent, I know, with some different bodies in there, Mark?
Yeah, we've started 3 quarterbacks on this end this season. We had the first Lewis started the first game of the season. We saw him all 12 games a year ago. JT Starks got a couple of starts, and Owen McCowan, fans may know that name, Josh McCown, the longtime NFL quarterback. It's his son. Came in as a true freshman and only 175 pounds, but boy, he's got some game to him now. But he got dinged up. I'm not sure if we're going to see him again this season. So JT Shrout, the Tennessee transfer, we expect to start on Saturday. JT's got a big arm. I mean, he's got an NFL arm. Make no mistake about that. The issue becomes with JT sometimes, Joey, that, when it's a situation where you might need to take a little something off and have a breaking pitch, right, or off-speed pitch, he comes with the fastball, 98 miles an hour every time. and so there's a learning process going on there that he's trying to understand. Fine, you got a great weapon there in the right shoulder. Let's learn how to use it and use it appropriately. So when he becomes inaccurate and his completion percentage is not very good, I think he overthrows quite a bit. He's got a little check down, and all of a sudden he comes with a 98-mile fastball again. And so those have been some issues. And then along with that, as we've all seen guys with big arms. So they got a big arm, they believe they can make every throw. And sometimes he'll take the chance to make the dangerous throw because he's got the big arm. And so there's a learning process JT Shrout's going through.
Yeah, Christian Javier would tell you he couldn't throw a no-hitter in the time in the World Series without some off-speed pitches, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. Mark Johnson joining us. One of the talking points here has been that Colorado can hit some deep balls in the passing game. It's going to be a test for Oregon's defensive backs. You agree with that assessment? That's something the coaches have talked about here at Oregon quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys. I already mentioned Jordan Tyson, who is a wonderful young talent, true freshman for the Buffaloes. And then there's a second-year guy, Montana Lemonius Craig, who's a dynamic player. He had the big catch in overtime to win it for Colorado against Cal. Those two, I think, are their top-level guys. They've got a number of other guys. Maurice Bell, Daniel Arias has been around for a long time, Jalen Jackson, Chase Pannery. There are some other receivers that are quality receivers. But those two are kind of the two you really look for in those situations. And, yeah, they are some big play guys. Both of them had monster plays. And the good news for Colorado fans, as we talk about them turning this thing around, they're both first- and second-year guys. So a lot of football left ahead of them.
Christian Gonzalez, of course, now playing for the Ducks. And, Mark, I got to tell you, what an awesome young man and what a tremendous player. Just last week we saw him block a field goal, and I said on the broadcast, watch, that tape is going to be on his draft day breakdown when they say, what does this guy look like? I mean, how special was he at Colorado, and how have the Buffs gone about replacing him as one of the cornerbacks?
Well, first off, they haven't, and you don't, right? Because you got a guy that some are projecting as being a top 10 first-round draft pick. And believe me, Joey, a couple of days ago I was sitting down and making my broadcast boards, and when I got to putting Christian Gonzalez's name down, I got to admit I got misty-eyed because, number one, a great kid. Loved him. Loved the young man. And then when he walked on campus, you think to yourself, that's the way they're supposed to look right there.
Yep.
I mean, he's 6'3", he's long, he's lean, he's fast, he's got great athleticism, and then he proved that on the field. And you could see he was becoming that shutdown corner that just took care of half the field. And so he is obviously a big-time player. Duck fans are well aware of that. Colorado fans are reluctantly aware of that. And it'll be very tough to look down the field on Saturday and see him wearing green and not wearing black and gold. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I hope that it's a good reception. He got asked, as you can imagine, Mark, this week about is he going to be sentimental? And he's saying what you'd expect him to say, right? That it's just another football game. But this one certainly means something to him. Talking about the defense as a whole, you touched on it. Hasn't been the Buffs' best performance defensively. What are some of the keys to find some success against Oregon's offense, particularly defensively here coming up Saturday?
Well, I think, and we just kind of alluded to it on the secondary. Now, they've got some young guys back there that appear to be pretty quality players, and you hope they continue to develop, but they're young. And we've seen some issues on the back end of that defense, which is not a good recipe for what's coming up on Saturday against Oregon, obviously. So anytime teams have attacked Colorado on the edges, there have been some problems this year. And I know if you're a Buff fan, you're thinking, oh, goodness gracious, we got the Ducks coming in and with all that speed that they've got. So if they can continue to improve there, the linebacking core, depending upon the game, has been okay to good at different times. Defensive front's been relatively good. I mean, Jalen Sabi and a few of those guys up front have played very well at different times. They haven't recorded a lot of sacks, but they've done a good job getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks, which is not going to be easy against a guy like Bo Nix, obviously. But on the back end of that defense, I think that second and third level have got to continue to get better. And, if they have any chance whatsoever as a prohibitive underdog against Oregon on Saturday, that group's got to play at a much higher level.
How about offensively? Any keys to success that are on your mind?
Well, run the ball. Deion Smith, Anthony Hankerson, those guys have got to be a big part of what they do. Get the run game going and give J.T. Shroud opportunity to throw and not have to make plays nonstop. Because previously what we talked about with how the inconsistencies we can see with him. When he's sharp, he's very good, and he looks like an NFL quarterback. With his size at 6'4" and his arm, he looks like he belongs at the next level. Got to learn to control that. So the run game, obviously, best friend of a quarterback. Run the football effectively, and then let him make some throws, and hopefully he's under control. If they can do that, who knows? Maybe they have a puncher's chance.
All right. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson joining us. Mark, I can't thank you enough. I'll leave you with this. How's basketball going to be this year? There's always great battles between Oregon and Colorado on the basketball floor.
Yeah, we just had we did the TV broadcast of the Colorado-Nebraska exhibition game on Sunday. A lot of newness. There's 3 guys that Tad brought in by a transfer, 2 from the Ivy League, both very good players, an outstanding kind of tough, hard-nosed 6'6", 6'7" kind of wing for the junior college ranks. KJ Simpson's growing into a star. I think Tristan DeSilva, we already knew what his brother was at Stanford. He's going to be a star in this league. Colorado's a little different team. Don't have the size maybe they had a year ago, but a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. I think these battles with the Ducks are going to be epic this year, and Colorado should be an upper-level team, the Pac-12.
I like that. Mark Johnson, thanks for joining us. Always appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing the views, I guess I should say, of the Colorado area there in person. Thanks for the time, Mark. Can't thank you enough.
Joey, see you this weekend.
All right, we'll see Mark Johnson. I'll have the call on the Colorado side of the broadcast coming up on Saturday. We're going to get a timeout when we come back. Let's talk with Steve Stevens, hear from some student athletes on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Chris Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families, and one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
I come back from break after talking with Mark Johnson, and I feel like I should just inhale some helium from a balloon. And, I mean, that voice, just, gosh. I don't know his secret. You know, I've joked with him before, like, Mark, what's it take? It's just, gosh. Best voice in the Pac-12, not even close. Mark Johnson, though, thanks to the voice of the Buffs for taking some time to join us. I am looking forward to basketball season, by the way. Keyshawn Bartholomew, I didn't ask him about this, transferring in from Colorado. Ducks have gotten a couple additions to various men's rosters this year from the Buffs. I'm excited to see what Keyshawn Bartholomew can do when the Ducks tip things off on Monday. Can you believe it? Florida A&M in town. Dana Altman's going to meet with the media actually this afternoon. We'll have that for you on the show tomorrow. Talking about this football game, 12:30 kickoff on ESPN, 10:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Steve Stevens, one of the safeties for the Ducks. He had some great, I thought, examples and ways to think about the Oregon secondary defending this Colorado offense that wants to take some deep shots. Steve Stevens meeting with the media this week.
Position to make several plays last week. You broke that would-be touchdown in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel like you played last week?
Well, I played pretty good, honestly. So, executed in a lot of moments in the game, made a lot of big plays when need to be made, so did my thing.
You're on pace right now for a career year. Your stats are pretty comparable to last year,
Mm-hmm.
but your role's a little bit different than last year. How do you account for the development, the development and improvement that you've had so far?
Football's a big development game. You don't want to make the same mistakes. So, you take things from last year, you try to make them better the following year. And, big kudos to, the coaches in the building as well, coaching us up, putting us into the position for success, an alignment assignment and our technique, and then, where our eyes need to be, things like that. And it's just set me up real well all year so far.
It's one of the older defenders in particular. You've played for several defensive coordinators,
Mm-hmm.
safeties coaches. What's different about this defense and your role in it and working with Coach Pallage compared to 2-3 different safeties coaches, 2-3 different coordinators before?
I think more so now I'm older, so I understand, more so, they're honing on, where your eyes need to be and things like that. And then it's like I understand why my eyes need to be at different situations on certain particular plays. And so I really feel like it just go back to that development over time. So it's like, I'm not saying, the last coaches were bad or anything like that. Just I just grew as a player, got more mature. So it's like now I'm really understanding what the coach is meaning. Eyes on your leverage, eyes on your work, things like that. Knowing where different people are in the defense, so you can play to your leverage and things like that. So
Colorado's had a lot of changes at quarterback. How difficult does that make, film prep for you, kind of knowing what you're going to see on Saturday?
You just got to just account for them both. Just overall go back, watch the games when the last guy played, and then see what he did well, and then now you got to go and look at the guys playing now, and then look at the throws he's making, the reads he's doing back there. So just watch film.
Outside of some really select circumstances, you guys really have not had the top blown off at all. Even on long balls, like last week they won against Gonzo, I think. It's a long pass, but top didn't get blown off. All right, when the twos were in there, yes, there was one. The guy fell down. How much pride do you take as a safety where, yeah, you guys are keeping the top on the coverage pretty much across the board this year?
Playing safety, man, I mean, they say keep a roof on the house, and that's what we've been trying to do week by week. And, you know, it goes to at practice. You know, our offense gives us a lot of good looks, and then our scouting gives us a lot of good looks. So, you know, it goes back to the game prep and things like that. So we'd like to say keep a roof on the house, you know, understand that we got to be the deepest of the deepest. So.
Is Colorado a team you expect to challenge you, though? It sounds like that's a team that's may throw it downfield a little more.
No, for sure. They definitely take more shots than, you know, we've seen in the past. They, you know, take a lot of shots. So, you know, really got to diagnose their plays, diagnose their offense, see when they like to get to the shot plays, who the guys that like to throw it too deep, and things like that.
Tyson is the guy, I think, I don't know his number off the top of my head.
Yep, number 4, yeah.
He's the one who has at least the most explosive.
Yeah, no,
is that the guy you kind of have to keep an eye on?
Yeah, no, I think he's a very talented young guy, and he definitely could give us issues if you don't take care of that, for sure.
How has this team just managed a 7-game win streak and not getting too cocky, not looking too far ahead of what could happen if you guys keep winning?
So we talk a lot about stacking days. So we're just trying to stack good days on top of good days. So it goes in stacking good games on top of good games, and just, you know, just keep. You got to stay humble and hungry, and that, at the end, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Just, you know, trying to refocus and recenter every week, and, you know, just breaking down the teams that we're playing against, and just going back to, okay, what did we do wrong? All right, let's do that better. Because even in the games that we do win, we do want to make corrections. You know, so things like that.
What were the corrections you felt like from the Cal game that you want to fix up or clean up?
Me personally, just some of the leverage in the run fits personally, but that was pretty much that's my main thing.
I think you guys have had in 8 games 12 different guys lead you in tackles, counting ties. What does that say? And only one guy's done it twice. What does that say about you guys as a unit?
And we take pride in tackling. That's what I would say. We definitely take pride in tackling. This is football. It's a physical game, man. You got to come tackle. So if you want to tackle, you should play a different sport. And, you know, all our guys are hungry to make plays. So we're trying to lead the team in tackles. You know, in the safety room, we're making competitions at practice like, hey, who can get the most studs? So we're taking pride in it for sure.
What's the area you feel like this defensive back group has improved the most at over the course of the season?
I would say communication across the board, from safety to the corners to the nickel backs, talking to the linebackers. I think communication is getting everybody lined up, and you recognize formation and communicating everything just across the back end, I feel like.
Did you get a chance to watch the Dolphins at all this past weekend?
And I got to see a couple little highlights, man. I was trying to get to it, but we were up here majority of the day. But yeah, no, I was happy my guys are out there on the field at the same time. It's truly a blessing, honestly.
We've already kind of seen this with Chase, but for you, what's your sense of how excited Christian is to go against his former team?
Honestly, I would say I don't think we put too much effort into that, because I think a lot of the guys he played with, I don't know if they transferred or what. But I mean, I'm sure still some of the guys are still there, but we haven't really put too much effort and time into that.
You've seen Brian go from receiver to DB back and forth, and this year he's really found his spot on the defensive side. Just what can you say about his development this season and just what he means for your position group?
Yeah, no, it's really cool to watch. So we call him BA. It's really cool to watch BA, you know, grow and develop as a player. You know, coming in, we were in the same recruiting class, and he was like categorized as an athlete. And so it was really cool to see him, you know, go from offense, come to defense. He started off in the corner room, came to the safety room, and you just seeing him learn, develop, and just really just hone in on his skills and his abilities. He's a 6'5" safety, and he's out there being a ball hawk. And I'm like, that's what he does, and we love to see him out there executing on that.
It's one of the more experienced guys. It was just not just the experience of last year and seeing in November when games matter and those things, but one of the few guys who are actually on the defense was around at 19. And so, you know, obviously what can happen there. Just, yes, when playoff rankings come out tonight, and this is going to be a weekly thing about, yes, the importance of staying in the moment and having experienced that twice in your time here. What is the value of that to you as a player?
So I feel like, in a sense, outside noise. And we try to not put too much focus on outside noise, because at the end of the day, like, what we're ranked right now, truly, like, it's whatever. We just want to win football games. That's really what we're more worried about, winning football games. And, you know, it's just like, it's cool, you know, it's fine and dandy, you know, it's a tale to, you know, the work that I put in on a week-by-week basis. And, you know, it's exciting. I'm happy for us. But at the same time, it's kind of outside noise. You don't really want to worry about it too much.
What allowed you guys' third down defense to be so much better last week against Colorado? I mean, against California, sorry.
We put an emphasis on it at practice. big emphasis on it.
Is there anything special you were doing in practice that kind of made it click finally?
So in the past, on third down, we could call it money down. So it's like money, get off the field. So I think it was during Andy Avalos, he used to bring the posters, money down. So we kind of like, hey, let's bring that back. Like, hey, let's make like on money down at practice. Like, hey, everybody's yelling, shouting, screaming. It's kind of like, okay, let's see the sticks, see what's going on, see what the offense trying to run, things like that. So just putting a big emphasis on it.
Steve, Steve, what have you seen from Bryce Betcher? I know he's mostly a special teams, working with your safety crew.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him so far?
I mean, that dude is flying. He's a flying missile. Like a heat-seeking missile. I don't know if you guys have heard, but I mean, you probably can stand over here and hear him hitting some people. So he's just flying around doing his thing, man. I'm excited to be next to him on kickoff because he's been starting kickoff with me this whole time. So it's really cool. Excited for that guy.
Jared actually is writing a story about Bryce Betcher, two-sport athlete for the Ducks, playing baseball and football. And I remember talking to Bryce about him going out for the football team at a baseball practice. And I said, well, what do you like best about football? And he just goes, hitting people. Yeah, he sounds like a good special teamer to me. When we come back, going to jump into our Slocum Center Minute. Also, Jackson Powers Johnson, Noah Whittington, still to come on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to the Slocum Center Minute. Slocum Center Orthopedic doctors are located here in Eugene and are the official orthopedic team physicians for your Oregon Ducks. With me, I have Dr. Lyle Jackson, a foot and ankle orthopedic surgeon at Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, discussing Achilles tendon ruptures. Dr. Jackson, tell us about Achilles tendon ruptures in athletes.
Achilles tendon ruptures in athletes are fairly common, especially in explosive sports like football, soccer, basketball. Oftentimes, athletes will describe being kicked in the back of their leg when nobody was there.
What's the recovery look like after you go through something like that?
Well, it can take a while. It definitely it's a season-ending injury for athletes, and that's regardless of whether it's treated surgically or non-surgically. There's certainly some advantages to treating surgically in athletes, and that's mostly to restore that length-tension relationship to the tendon. So most athletes end up having them fixed surgically.
Dr. Jackson, thanks for the information. Thanks for what you do.
You're welcome.
That was the Slocum Center Minute, brought to you by Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the official orthopedic sports medicine team physicians for University of Oregon Athletics since 1967.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Jackson Powers Johnson has done such a great job for the Ducks along the offensive line, filling in different spots, has a really bright future, even has played defensive line for the Ducks at times. Jackson Powers Johnson talking with the media yesterday.
Allows you to play, I think, literally all 5 positions on the line. At this point, you played at least 4 of them, if not all 5.
Honestly, just being able to prepare and practice. Clem's a great coach and teaches me all of it. So, and just doing that, preparing, knowing all my responsibilities and just being able to practice it, I'd say.
Do you have a favorite?
Whatever my mom says. I'm just kidding. No, honestly, I really don't care. Just want to get on the field. Just want to help out wherever is best.
What are the biggest differences in each, from your perspective, whatever place?
Honestly, in centers, just you got to communicate more. You got to be commanding the line, and then outside of that, it's just it's just angles, and you face different rushers, and they all kind of have the same almost technique, but just sometimes tackling you're on an island, center, you're more in the middle, so there's little differences, but it all kind of plays in the same thing.
We'll talk to Alex about that, because he had a very similar approach around your age in his time at Oregon. He played on 5 positions when he was a freshman, sophomore.
Yeah. Yeah, of course I've talked to him, and he's, last year and this year, taking him, me getting under his wing, and him just really teaching me, the trick of the trade, and being able to, do all those things. That's why I think I have success doing it. So. How much fun is it to play in that 14 package? Where you guys go? Oh, it's a ton of fun. It's just hard-nosed football, run down your throat type beat. So it's a lot of fun. It gets everybody out there, and it's not really I don't think it's been done at Oregon for a while. Yeah, so I think it's kind of cool and kind of cool new to see. So yeah.
Is it kind of just the ultimate high for an offensive lineman to go 12 plays and 12 of them are run plays? Of
course, you love your offensive coordinator for that. He puts so much trust, and he sometimes puts the offense on our back, and we really appreciate it, having him as an offensive coordinator and him believing in us, and him kind of putting it on our shoulders.
Where do you think that you've grown the most this season?
I'd probably say just knowing the game. I've gotten to know the game a lot more, and also being flexible, playing different positions, and being able to, do it at a high level, I'd say.
How much do you think about, if at all? Obviously, in the moment, you got to think about your task again. I get that. But in the big picture, clearly, there's no choice to be had. At least 4 of these guys are leading at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Time is up, and you will be a major part of that next season. How much do you have to think about maximizing what you do now to be in the best position for when you're the guy?
I think I more just think about, this is kind of the last times I get to play with these guys. I'm not really looking into next year. I'm really just trying to stay in the now. And I get an opportunity to play with these guys that are going to leave. And I'm sure it's great to learn everything that's going to help me for next year. But main focus right now is just, me being humbled to play with Alex and TJ and everything like that. So yeah.
Man, I got cold just listening to the wind right then. And Jackson Powers Johnson, for those of you listening to the show, was in a T-shirt with no sleeves and didn't look cold at all. Ready for a game in Colorado, I guess. Though it's supposed to be warmer in Boulder at kickoff than it is in Eugene at the same time. That doesn't feel right to me. In any case, guy who's been really, really successful not only running the ball, but I think receiving the ball out of the backfield, Noah Whittington. Him and Bucky Irving, probably the best 1-2 punch in the country in terms of a running back duo. He talked with the media yesterday after practice.
They handle a lot more pass reps out of the backfield. How do you think your skill set really allows you to do that?
We practice catching a lot, so whatever the play is, if the ball come my way, I try to make a play on it.
Growing up, were you primarily, did you catch a lot of passes out of the backfield?
That's because
in high school and stuff?
In high school, I played receiver.
Oh,
yeah. So.
Forgive me.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess you could say so. Yeah.
The answer definitely yes. The competition between you and Bucky in the backfield, do you guys really kind of go at each other with who's playing better? You guys have a real friendly competition between you back there?
That's like my brother. It's competition, but it's not like brutal competition.
Definitely.
It's kind of like, iron sharpens iron competition.
You guys talking trash to each other though in practice and stuff, and saying you're getting the better reps or you're playing better than them at any time?
Nah, it'll be like, let's have a good practice. Like we feed off each other. I feel like in the room in general, it's like that. Not just between me and Bucky, but like everybody.
Going against a Colorado team that gives up over 200 yards a game on the ground. You guys kind of licking your chops this week, looking forward to a big week out of the running back room at all?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Trying to pay attention to detail, less minor errors as possible, and focus on hitting the right tracks, stuff like that. And the rest will take care of itself.
You guys have such a deep room that it seems like another guy can step up at any moment, How does it feel just having that sort of safety blanket? If some guys aren't playing well, that there's another guy there to step up and play well.
I mean, not just like our room in general, just our offense. Like we have an offense full of playmakers in every room. So we just go out there and try to execute. Like I'm comfortable with anybody. Like no matter what, whatever the play call, every play call we have has the potential to be explosive.
It's kind of a similar game like how where you guys are sort of expected to win big. How do you sort of avoid that sluggish start that you guys had against Cal?
Practice hard. Don't take any opponent lightly. Treat everybody like Georgia.
What can you guys improve on to, sort of up the efficiency in the red zone? It seemed like you guys sort of struggled, especially earlier in that game again, in the red zone.
For one, penalties, self-inflicted wounds, and just executing. It's all about details. So focusing on those and we'll execute. Like everybody have good red zone days, bad red zone days. It's just all about efficiency.
You talked about how you and Bucky feed off of each other in practice. More from an X's and O's perspective, how do you guys think your play styles differ and complement each other?
Can you ask me again?
Basically, how are you and Bucky different in terms of running the ball?
Oh, Bucky gonna make you miss. For a fact. Like, Bucky got great feet. Bucky has the best feet I've ever seen. So I feel like I'm more of a speed type of, I ain't really finna, I'll probably cut once or twice. So I'm just gonna try to get him out. But Bucky gonna make 2, 3, 4 people miss because he just got the God-given talent to do that. So, yeah.
That's high praise coming from a fellow running back, isn't it? Like, he's got quick feet. That's Noah Whittington talking about his running back mate in Bucky Irving. I thought that was really interesting, hearing one running back compliment another. I mean, they know better than anybody, right? When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit from Triquest Bridges. Meeting with the media after he was also on the Coaches Show last night was outstanding. And we're going to talk with Triquest when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Tomorrow, programming note for you. We're going to do the show a little bit early because we're traveling to Boulder with the Oregon football team. 11 to noon, if you watch the show live, your Oregon Sports Network, those of you who listen across their various OSN affiliates, regular time for you, obviously regular time on the podcast, but the visual audience, we're going to do the show live from 11 to noon tomorrow. Jerry, Jorgie, and Jordan joining me for picks. We'll also have a few other sports that we're going to hit on in addition to football traveling to Colorado. On that note, Triquest Bridges, he talked with the media earlier this week, and I thought he had some great things to say about preventing the deep ball and, well, some of the keys to success for Oregon's defense. Triquest Bridges.
Just talk me through this Cal win. How do you think you played? How do you think your defense fared overall?
We did a good job. It was like a lot of things that I won't say a lot of things, but it was a few things that we could have did better, and we corrected that this week, Monday. But for the most part, we did good. We stopped the run. We gave up a few explosive plays. I gave up a touchdown, something that I wish I can take back, but you know, I like those type things happening because like just to give me more juice and more motivation to like do better. But overall, I think we did good. We came up with the victory.
How do you think that you yourself have improved this season overall, just from where you started and up to now?
The great thing is like with the coaches, like how they like with my own mindset, just like try to stay better. The coaches they the same way. They just like, you know, we always working to improve, and it's never a time that they not like just reevaluating us, and we were reevaluating ourselves. So every week I feel like I'm growing it to be better instead of just like decreasing my my performance. I feel like every week I'm doing something different to be better.
Last week, Ben and Williams talked about on third down that you guys haven't gotten into a lot of third down and longer situations,
right,
which has limited your playbook on those spots. Just how do you think you guys performed in third and long, and how your defense?
Third and long we do very well, but like previous games we always like, you know, check the stats like after the game, where like, you know, did we win third down that week or whatnot, and like some of the weeks we haven't. But last week we did improve on that. We made an emphasis in practice, like, you know, third down period. Okay, look, let's go, let's work out, let's, you know, dominate this third down, and you can see that the improvement on the field where we like last week we won third down.
That was good. Winning third down, certainly a big deal. And I thought that Triquest Bridges was there talking about something that to me has been a real defining characteristic of this entire season for Oregon football, and that is they identify something they want to work on, they get better at it the next game. So what's that going to be in this game? I think it's starting faster. I think starting faster is a real key, particularly on the road, back-to-back road games. I think that's a key for Oregon against Colorado. Okay, tomorrow doing the show live from 11 to noon. We'll make some picks. Jerry and Jorgie's game keys. Gonna hear from Dana Altman and Kelly Graves ahead of Monday's game. See you then.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure